Warning: the following audio contains a person's opinion. If you are offended that someone on the internet has a different opinion than yours, then you should probably leave. Despite Peter Capaldi wrapping up a solid first season, or series, as the Doctor, the debate still rages on as to whether his successor will jump the proverbial gender gap. In this episode of Audio Inquiry, I will explore the likelihood of this happening, as well as whether it should happen in the first place. So, for anyone who isn't a diehard Whovian, or for people who don't quite know what that word I just said was, the Doctor is a television character with a history spanning over 50 years. How does a show run for 50 years? Easy. Make the main character borderline immortal and able to change his face so you're able to change actors. While this may sound cheap, us fans certainly don't mind, and it's led to the Doctor becoming one of the most beloved and iconic characters in sci-fi history. Throughout his more than 1,200 years of existence, the Doctor has had 13 incarnations, the most recent of which being Peter Capaldi. So far, though, every time someone has portrayed the Doctor, whether he calls himself by that name or not, that person has been a man. This, among other things, has led to heavy criticism regarding the current showrunner, Stephen Moffat. But him specifically is probably enough to do an entire video itself, so I won't be diving too much into his role in all this. Regardless, ever since Doctor Who was revived in 2005, and possibly even before, the question of the TARDIS being handed off to a woman has been in fans' minds. Some would welcome this change of pace, while others would be wholeheartedly against it. Each camp has valid arguments. First, I'll take a look at those who would like to see a woman portray the Doctor. These people feel it's finally time for the Doctor to embrace his feminine side in the most literal of ways. Why can't a woman portray the Doctor? It's been established that Time Lords and ladies can change their sex with regeneration, and certainly acting talent isn't a problem. So why is it an issue in the first place? While it's always possible and likely that some hate could be attributed to just blatant sexism, that is without a doubt a small percentage of the overall camp. It's quite possible that some fans believe that a woman just can't portray the Doctor as well. However, people in this camp may have also thought someone as young as Matt Smith couldn't play the role as well. But this all just has to deal with personal preference. There's going to be people out there who love and people who hate every incarnation that the Doctor goes through. Let's step out of the realm of subjectivity and move on into the realm of objectivity. At first, on this level, there appears to be nothing wrong with the idea of a female Doctor. It could give the writers all new ideas, and even branch out to some demographics the show hasn't previously reached. But, on the same token, it could lead to a big dry spell with the show's writing, and it could push away more viewers than it attracts. We really don't know, and I could speculate for the rest of this video about what might happen or what could happen with a female Doctor, but I don't want to do that. I want to answer, should the Doctor ever be portrayed by a woman? Potentially one of the more compelling arguments against a female Doctor comes from the former tenant of the role, no, not the one you're thinking of, but his father-in-law, Peter Davidson. He recently came out and said he would not want to see the Doctor portrayed by a woman. At first I, as I'm sure many people, didn't agree with him, but as I read, I felt myself being swayed a little bit. His argument is based on the fact that the Doctor has always been an imperfect character. Through his relationship with humans and humanity itself, he learns lessons and betters himself. Now, nearly all of the time the Doctor learns these lessons is through his nearly always female companion. So now imagine that these roles are then reversed for a female Doctor. What you have is a very stereotypical situation of a woman always being saved in some way by a man. In other words, you have a gimmick that's now been done literally thousands of times before. Some may argue that why do the roles have to be reversed? Why can't the companions stay female? Well, they can. The only problem comes from a marketing standpoint. Just looking at it objectively with that mindset, you want to hit the largest demographic possible. It makes sense to have both a male and female role. Something, well, not for everybody, but something for a lot of people. It's why Modern Family doesn't only focus in on Cam and Mitchell. So there could be both a female companion and Doctor. There would just most likely be a character similar to Rory traveling also, so a trio rather than a duo. But I think it's more likely that if there were two female characters in one episode, it would be something similar to The Lodger, or just another one-off episode. So, as to whether or not this actually should happen, well, I'll tie that in with the question of, will this happen? I think the answer to that question is yes. It might not be the next Doctor, but I think eventually the gap will be spanned. It's entirely possible it will come at a time when the show is running out of ideas, but it's been going for a record amount of time, so we'll see when that happens. So, with this inevitability comes a certain expectation, which leads me to the answer. Should this be done? Yes. With an asterisk, if it's going to be done, it has to be done well. There needs to be a fantastic cast with a superb writing staff to support them if our female future Doctor doesn't want to be just a one-season wonder. Because no doubt they will all be subject to heavy scrutiny right off the bat. Whether or not that's fair, well, that's a question for another time. And to those of you who still recoil at the thought of a female Doctor, well, you can always take a break from the show for a few years and come back and see a new, fresh face piloting the TARDIS. That's the beauty of Doctor Who. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you all next time, hopefully, for another installment of Audio Inquiry. Signing off.